Hello, this is Raghav's Take. Every new year begins with the audacity of what I would call contrived hope for individuals and nations. Last year, I had written about 2025 resolutions to resuscitate Indian democracy. Very disappointingly, we've barely crawled forward despite the passage of a full year. But since quitting is not an option, so let's plod forward with the hope that 2026 will deliver a delayed democratic and economic renewal. Here are the top two resolutions again. Restore trust in the Election Commission of India. It's a sorry, but even more forceful repeat of last year. There is no ducking it since opposition parties have given irrefutable evidence of errors in electoral rolls and discrepancies in voting data. It's a wake-up call. If trust in the sanctity of India's elections is lost, everything is over. So here goes. The first resolution. We resolve to respect the right of opposition leaders to bring hard evidence of electoral malpractices to our attention. We shall not deny, deflect, counterattack, denigrate, or mock. Instead, we shall order a thorough and transparent investigation by credible, independent experts. The findings will be put in the public domain. The flaws will be energetically cleansed. We resolve to upload past and current electoral lists for each polling booth in electronic files that political parties shall access easily. We shall not evade our responsibility to video record all voters who stuff their ballots after the end of polling and put these videos up for scrutiny as required by law. Resolution number 2. We resolve to do a 100% count of VVPATs to validate the EVM results for all elections in 2026. We hope to squelch suspicions and whiffs of controversy around the integrity of EVMs. We shall use barcodes on VVPATs to ensure a rapid and scientific count so nobody can object on grounds of inordinate delays. Finally, we resolve to attach the ballot unit, that's the BU, in parallel with the VVPAT unit and the control unit. We apologize for stoutly and inexplicably opposing this very simple circuit change because it will ensure that votes are cast as intended, recorded as cast, and counted as recorded, thereby eliminating the risk of manipulation. Now, here are the next two resolutions to restore the unimpeachable reputation of India's judiciary. Resolution number 3. We resolve to quickly adjudicate on the amplitude and validity of critical laws. We acknowledge that immense damage gets done if these are left hanging. For example, we shall settle the challenge to the Places of Worship Act and conclude the mischievous suits that are riding on it. We must expeditiously decide whether the twin bail conditions in PMLA are correct or a violation of the law. For example, can the burden of proof of innocence be shifted to an accused who is not even told what he is accused of? How can a person convince a judge that he is innocent and will never commit a crime which he has not yet been convicted of committing? So, business people are being incarcerated for heinous crimes like money laundering, while at worst their offenses may be punishable for breach of trust or cheating or willful defaults or underpayment of taxes. Now, here's the second resolution for the judiciary, but that's resolution number 4 for 2026. We resolve to hold truant courts accountable for flouting our instructions. We agree that we've been lax in allowing bulldozers to continue demolishing despite our explicit ban. We shall henceforth summon the culpable officials, politicians, and inflict exemplary punishment, including arrest. We shall likewise ensure that judges who give reckless orders to deny bail on flimsy or communal grounds will suffer consequences. We acknowledge that harsh laws aimed at egregious offenses, offenses like drug running or terrorism or inciting large scale violence, are being used against civil society activists who are branded as urban Naxals. It's a term or category that is not legally defined. We vow to put a stop to such an unconscionable weaponization of laws. Now we come to the top 4 resolutions to create a genuinely Goldilocks economy. That's resolution number 5 for 2026. We resolve to not get swayed by the euphoria. We acknowledge that India's macroeconomy is appearing to be in a Goldilocks embrace, because general inflation is less than 2%, while food prices are actually declining. The fiscal deficit is trending down, even as government capex has vaulted over 3% of GDP. Interest rates are softening. And there's a twin balance sheet bonanza, as banks have shed bad loans and corporates have deleveraged. The stock markets are at a hefty premium to most competing economies, despite the rupee's precipitous fall. But 2 of the most vital parameters, namely private investment and personal consumption expenditures, have been stubbornly flashing red for years. Private capex has fallen 0.6 percentage points of GDP below the pre-COVID level, while household consumption has shed 3 percentage points. Why? We shall find out and fix the problems. Now to resolution number 6. We resolve to lift the hood and look at what I call the invisible spectrum. Here are 2 devastating statistics that are not quoted too often. India's net foreign direct investment, FDI, has fallen by nearly 97%. I'll repeat that. Fallen by nearly 97% to a shocking $353 million last year. Why? Because Indian investors are taking as many dollars out of the country as foreigners are bringing in. Now combine this with another deadly statistic. Over the last 3 years, nearly 15,000, I'll repeat that, nearly 15,000 dollar millionaires have permanently migrated from India. That's an estimated wealth outflow of $50 billion every year. So we solemnly swear to heal the wounds that are driving them away. Now to resolution number 7. We resolve to curb our adventurous tendency to slap sudden bans. As soon as we see a tiny trespass, we slam the kill switch for everybody, crashing large legitimate businesses along with the fringe illegal ones. But henceforth, we shall benchmark our regulations to global standards. We shall monitor to control excesses. We shall catch the culprits, but we shall not ban everything for the good guys. Resolution number 8. We resolve to flatten out the iniquitous K-shaped swell of India's economy. It's a severe infirmity when the top 1% imprison 40% of our total wealth. I'll say that again. Top 1% have captured 40% of our total wealth. And the bottom half of the population has to make do with barely 7%. Equally, it's a shame that the top 10% capture nearly 60% of national income. Top 10% capture nearly 60% of national income. We cannot allow this disease to fester. Those were 4 resolutions for our Goldilocks economy. And I now come to the ninth and the final resolution for 2026. This is exactly similar to the resolution in 2025 because nothing has changed here. The ninth and final resolution of 2026 is a bigger imperative because the political environment has become more toxic. We resolve to convince our political leaders to relearn the art of smiling. Smiling. We have noticed how bitter, how angry, how morose, unhumorous, and viscerally combative they always are. Relax, guys. Learn to take a joke or two. Democracy needs you to accommodate, to absorb, to forgive, and just generally be more agreeable in your demeanor. Those 9 resolutions were Raghav's take today.